Honorable Co-Chairman and Reporter of this first technical session mentioned by the Honorable Chairman, I will be speaking on a very relevant topic, that is Indian agriculture, what has been the past, where we are now at present, and what will be the requirement by 2050, and same time what challenges we are facing in Indian agriculture across the country. So broadly, I will be trying to cover all those aspects, that what challenges really we are facing in Indian agriculture. You see, for stability of a nation, what is the basic requirement? The basic requirement of stability of a nation, first one is food security. But now, time has come that we must discuss, we should talk about nutritional security, because our masses should not be malnourished. And we know in country, in various states, I'm not quoting the example of any particular state, but in rural areas, huge population, particularly women and children, they are having huge malnutrition, maybe due to protein deficiency and maybe mineral deficiency in form of iron and zinc. That we are facing in state of Rajasthan also, and it is a big problem in Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Bihar, and other states also. But firstly, in the past, we were basically talking about food security. But that time, that era has gone. Now we are focusing largely on nutritional security, and thereby, along with the yield, now we are talking about the quality of a basic variety or a product. And thereby we are working very rigorously on biofortification in crops, and not only limited to cereals. This Rari Durgapura has recently developed 2 biofortified hybrids in case of pearl millet, which are having a yield potential of 40 quintals almost. And same time, the level of iron and zinc is almost double whatever standards we have fixed, 32 and 42. The varieties, the hybrids are having 81 and 84 ppm of iron and around 42 and 51 ppm of zinc along with the yield level. Same time, we are also working in vegetables, and large number of biofortified varieties in different group of vegetables, not only limited to root crops, even biofortified varieties have been developed in case of potato also. We are talking about bhindi also, okra. We have developed from IRI a biofortified variety. So root crops, we have tomato, we have capsicum, and several other crops where the work on biofortification is already in progress, and there is already a good outcome we have achieved in the country. We are also working on biofortification in rice and also in pulses. So thereby now we are very much concerned about nutritional security, looking to malnutrition in masses across the country and largely in women and children. So this is the challenge. Then again the third one, we know that in the past 85% plus population was relying upon agriculture. But what is the status as in today? Around 55 to 58% population directly as farming community, indirectly as agriculture labor, or those businesses being dependent on agriculture, they are relying upon agriculture. So employment generation, I can say that across the country, there are huge scope, still there are large scope of employment generation through agriculture, directly agriculture, indirectly agriculture, either the seed companies, either the certification companies, either these fertilizer companies, pesticide, fungicide, biocontrol agents, whatever, even insurance companies, even agriculture graduates and postgraduates are now being recruited in Patent Authority of India. So it is not only limited to FSSAI or APIDA, but or the Spices Board. There are a lot of opportunities in employment opportunities in agriculture, and this will further go long in this country. Then what major challenge we are facing, that is unjudicious use of natural resources, and mainly the land and water allocated to agriculture sector. So this is the biggest challenge in the country we are facing. And we know that agriculture land is decreasing, cultivated land. 2 decades back, the agriculture cultivated land was 143 million hectare, but it has come down around 139 because of development in the country in form of industrialization, urbanization, network of roads, dedicated freight corridors, quadrilaterals, and so many activities are going across the country. But we cannot stop the development of a nation. It is very much required. But same time, we are sacrificing the agriculture land, cultivated land in the country. But we have also same time in the country a big chunk of land which is wasteland, eroded or degraded lands, which really we are trying to put under agriculture. And the best way of development of wasteland or eroded, degraded land is through intervention of horticultural crops. And there are several very successful examples of the wasteland development through horticulture interventions, and I had been the part and parcel of the technical team while doing so. So this is there. So it is very, very important. The time has come that we must talk about judicious use of the natural resources, either land or water and other natural resources. Then the fourth one, which is now, as on today in modern era, is a pillar for stability, is reserve of foreign exchange. In the past, nobody was knowing कि विदेशी मुद्रा का भंडार होता क्या है. शायद किसी को भी नहीं पता होगा कि विदेशी मुद्रा होती क्या है. But now you see what we are importing. The country has a big import of crude oil. Sometime goes 10 lakh crore, sometime 8 lakh crore. Same time we are also having an import of chemical fertilizers up to the tune of 2 to 2.5 lakh crores annually. And we are also importing in agriculture edible oil. And the country has to spend for import of edible oil around 80 to 90,000 crores of rupees every year. And this is one area. Otherwise, in agriculture, now we are self-sustainable and we have surplus. But this area is weak, and this area is a challenge for the country that we must emphasize very rigorously on the development of oilseed crop. And the government of India has already launched the oilseed mission, like the pulses mission we launched in 2013. But same time, I would like to mention here that this much we are importing, but this is because of requirement. But other way also, for some time, some industrial requirement, we are also a net importer. For example, we are working at this campus, Rari Durgapura, along with IIWR Karnal, and we have developed excellent varieties in wheat and barley. We also have high malting type variety for industrial purpose. But we are net importer of barley from cold countries like Russia, Bulgaria, Belarus, Ukraine, and the quantum is 2.5 lakh metric ton annually we are importing from such countries. So this is a big challenge for the country. Same time, we are largest grower of coriander crop, a seed spice crop, but same time we are largest exporter, largest producer, largest consumer, but we are net importer of coriander. So how this is happening, why this is happening, this is another challenge. We know as a technical person why it is happening. So we are required to resolve these all problems. Then the next point is, if we have attained sustainability in some area, and the best example is pulses. By 12-13, our major production of pulses was 17 million metric ton, and the requirement for the nation was 22 million metric ton, and we were having a shortfall of 5 million metric ton. And for that import, the country was spending around 30 to 40,000 crores of rupees as a foreign exchange just to import the pulses. And then Government of India launched the pulses mission in the country. We developed short duration varieties, and then quality seed were supplied to farming community, and then policies was introduced, MSP was increased many times, and this was the reason that from 12-13 and by the year 16-17, we attained the production of pulses up to the tune of 25 million metric ton, जो हमारे पास लगभग 3 million ton का surplus था. But as on today, our requirement with the time, with the increasing population, has increased up to the tune of 27 million metric ton. And very lately, just 15 days back, India has imported pulses again. So there is no consistency in sustainability. This is another challenge. If we have attained sustainability in some area, it must continue. It should not be weakened over the time. But again, the consistency in sustainability is another challenge in the country. And just now, 15 days back, we have imported 2 million metric ton of pulses again from abroad. So this is another challenge. कि 10-15 साल 16-17 में हमने पूरा सस्टेनेबिलिटी अटेन कर ली, अब फिर कमजोर पड़ गए और फिर हमारा प्रोडक्शन घट गया, रिक्वायरमेंट बढ़ती जा रही है. So this is a challenge. So we need, and from agriculture, if we are in import, we have a good export from the agriculture also. And this year, the total agriculture export has been more than $50 billion. That makes around 4 lakh plus crore rupees. And this is the cereals we are doing or other commodities we are doing. I can quote some examples like red chili. I was reading the data in the magazine Agriculture Situation in India that last year our red chili export was 5,400 crores, 5,400 crores. But this year, within 1 year, it has jumped 8,500 crores. So within 1 year, 2,100 crores increase is there. And same time, cumin, so many crops we are in export. Gherkins we are exporting, one commodity from Karnataka. And there is a AEZ on processed gherkins in Karnataka. And the quantum of export from that AEZ is around 1,500 crores annually. We have export of the floricultural crops, and we have export of honey, and the honey export has gone more than 800 crore from the country. So this is the change. So agriculture is contributing in export also after maintaining such a big population, feeding such a big population of 102 crores. So so we want to maintain the foreign exchange reserve very strong. Then this is because this is a big pillar for the sustainability of the nation. Otherwise, you have seen the situation in Sri Lanka. We are seeing this situation several times in African countries, and we are seeing the rate of food inflation in Middle East. अब हिंदुस्तान में आपको पता है, अभी कोई भी अगर खाना खाएगा किसी ढाबे पे तो 50 रुपए में आराम से खाना खा सकता है. लेकिन अगर आप फूड इन्फ्लेशन की बात करें तो आज के दिन लेबनान, मिडिल ईस्ट कंट्रीज में 1000 रुपए में खाना नहीं खा सकते आप. So that is the level of inflation in Middle East countries or other countries. But we are lucky that with this being such a big population in the country, we are having self-sustainability. So these are the pillars of the stability of the nation, of a great nation. Then these are the resources India has. We have fresh water only 4.6%. We have 2.3% of the land of the earth. And then we have population is the biggest challenge. We are having 17.5% of the world population in India. And this is the biggest challenge for us. And then the limitation is rainfall and climate change. This is a big challenge for the country. scattered rainfall, climate change, droughts, excessive rains, cyclones. So these are the major challenges for the country. So population is a challenge, increasing population is a challenge, and also the climate change and decreasing land, and also uneven spells during the rainy season. So these are the basic challenges. And you see what has been the status of Indian agriculture in the past. At the time of independence, or the base year is 1950, when India became republic, the total population was 35 crore, and now we are 142 crores. And the projected population by 2050 will be 170 to 175 crore. So this is the biggest challenge. Poverty is decreasing. So 75%, now we have come down to 27% and likely to go below 8% by 2050. Then rural population, it was more than 85% during 1950s. It has come down less than 65%, and we are expecting less than 48% by 2050. Urban population is increasing across the country in different cities. There is a migration, there is a movement which is going on, which is required to be restricted in some of the cities like Delhi or Mumbai or Calcutta. That is required. Then agriculture workforce, it was more than 80%, which was dependent on agriculture, but now it has come down around 55% or 50%, and expected decrease can go up to 25% in next 27 years when we will be in 2050. Income per lakh, per person per year, that is increasing trend. Presently it is 1,80,000 rupees, but our projections are that everybody must be having an income of 15.4 lakh rupees by next 27 years in year 2050. Then contribution in GDP, agriculture share in GDP, it was 55% in 50. Presently it is 18%, and it is likely to go below 6% by 2050. But that does not mean that agriculture is not contributing anything. We know it clearly that during 1950s, no other sectors were in existence. No service sector, no industry, no other sectors were developed. But now, these all sectors have developed well in the country, and because of the development of other sectors, agriculture, contribution in agriculture in the GDP has come down to 18%, but this is not less. हम लोग अगर इसको कहेंगे कम है 18%, तो ये गलत है। वो इसलिए गलत है कि 142 करोड़ लोगों को हम सस्टेन किए हुए हैं, इसलिए 18% जीडीपी में कंट्रीब्यूशन भी एग्रीकल्चर से एक बहुत बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन है, और ये 2050 आते आते घट के 6% के आसपास रह जाएगा। ये चैलेंज है हमारे लिए, बट वी हैव टू मेड प्रोग्रेस इन एग्रीकल्चर फील्ड। देन लैंड अवेलेबिलिटी, इट इज डिक्रीजिंग, नीड नॉट टू टेल। देन द मेजर चैलेंज इज 10th नंबर, वाटर अवेलेबिलिटी। इन 1950s प्रति व्यक्ति जो पानी की उपलब्धता थी वो 3000 क्यूबिक मीटर थी, अब घट के रह गई 1500, और 2050 आते आते पानी की उपलब्धता प्रति व्यक्ति प्रति वर्ष पर ईयर is likely to reduce less than 1000 cubic meter per year per person. So this is the biggest challenge for India in future. Then we are required to maintain a growth of 7.6% in GDP and 4.9% in agriculture growth to become a developed nation in the next 25 years, as already the Honorable Prime Minister is talking, and the RBI has given this data. And then we have already several phases in agriculture. Pre-Green Revolution, 1947 to 1964, and then we entered in Green Revolution from 65 to 85, and this was the initial phase of development of Indian agriculture, either the varieties in case of cereals, vegetables, fruit crops. That was the initiation, that is the beginning. And then reforms and liberalization took place in the country in the era of 1986 to 2010. This was the era. Then presently we are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India. So this this is going to finish by end of this December. So this has been the year. And now 24 onward, up to 47, the Honorable Prime Minister is talking about Amrit Kal. So we are going to enter next year in Amrit Kal. So these are the eras or phases of Indian agriculture in the past, and perspective of Indian agriculture in Amrit Kal, what we are expecting, sustainability, but continuity in sustainability. I have quoted the example of pulses. We are required to have a continuity in sustainability, then efficient and inclusive growth, climate resilient agriculture. We have seen the phase of climate change in the last 1 year, the critical phase of climate change in the last 1 year. So we are required to work very rigorously, very strongly on climate resilient agriculture. Then digital and secondary agriculture. We know that this is the time of information technology or AI. This is the era. So we are required to work on this, and also on secondary agriculture. This is processing and how to reduce the post-harvest losses, because we are very weak in this area in secondary agriculture. And now Government of India is very strongly emphasizing on this secondary agriculture. Processing units or post-harvest units are being established across the country. Then import substitution and export promotion. I have already well mentioned about this point, that for maintaining a good foreign exchange reserve, we are required to work on number 4 if we want to maintain a good reserve of the foreign exchange. Then participation of private sector, like it is working in US, it is working in Western world, it is working in other countries. We are also required to have a participation, big way participation of the private sector in Indian agriculture. Then only we can make a growth in Indian agriculture. So presently, what challenges we are facing? The critical challenges Indian agriculture is facing: decreasing water, degrading soil, increasing pests and diseases. You see, in the last 1 or 2 decades, several invasive pests have entered in the country. We know fall armyworm. We know Tuta absoluta in case of tomato, pinworm. But recently, the black thrips in case of chili have also entered, and they have already traveled to central India and likely to enter in north by next year. So these are the challenges. New viruses, new insect pests, and new diseases are entering in the country. Why? Because we have a weak system of maintenance. And because of this is then intensifying climate change. Climate change phase is changing every year. So this is a big challenge, and aspirations are changing in the country for common masses. So these are the major challenges, critical challenges for Indian agriculture. And what will be our requirement? What projections we are required to fulfill by 2050? So you see the Indian agriculture food grain, we were less than 50 million metric ton. As on today, we have attained 330 million metric ton of food grains. But what will be the requirement by 2050? In next 27 years, 550 million metric ton will be our requirement, looking to the increasing population, and the increasing population is expected more than 170 crore in next 27 years. So this is a big challenge. Then horticulture. Yes, we know horticulture in this country has been weak in the past after independence, and the growth really started beyond 1970s. But now horticulture for the last 7-8 years consistently and continuously surpassing the total food grain production in the country, and thereby I have scattered the fruit production. Fruit production in the country was less than 10 million metric ton, and we have already 112, and the requirement by 2050 will be 250. So this is a big challenge. Then vegetable production, it was less than 15 million metric ton, and at present we have attained 207 million metric ton, and our requirement by 2050 will be 450 million metric ton. Again a challenge, but the challenge is not big. China is already producing 580 million metric ton of vegetables. 580 million metric ton सब्जियां चीन पैदा करता है, तो हमें इतनी घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है क्या हम 450 कर पाएंगे कि नहीं कर पाएंगे. We can have the technology, we have the technology, we have to go not horizontally, but we are required to go vertically while doing so. Then nutri-cereals. In the time of independence, we were relying upon nutri-cereals, the millets, but then we forget. and no work was done or less work was done in the country in research area in case of millets. But now Government of India is very strongly working or emphasizing on the research and development work in case of millets, and we are expecting that millets production should reach more than 80 million metric ton by 2050. Milk availability is increasing. Rajasthan, luckily, is the #1 state in the country having largest production of milk, since the livestock is the biggest availability in the state of Rajasthan. Then farm mechanization, really, it was no existence at the time of independence. It was less than 5%. But now we have attained 47% of mechanization across the country. Some states may be weak, some states are very forward, but all together, on an average, 47% mechanization is there in Indian agriculture, and we are required to attain 85% mechanization in the next 27 years by 2050. Then post-harvest losses, we do not know. We do not have data of post-harvest losses during independence. But it was big. But at present, the losses are up to the tune of 15%, and we want to reduce the post-harvest losses, particularly in horticulture, less than 10%. It is a big challenge, big challenge. In other crops, in cereals, pulses, maybe we can attain, but to attain 10%, less than 10% in horticulture is a very, very difficult, tough task. Then water use efficiency, it was less than 10% when we became republic, but now it is 40%. Looking to the depleting water resources, we are required to increase the water use efficiency in next 27 years, more than 65%. This is a big challenge, but we have to fulfill this challenge. We are required to meet out this challenge. Then nitrogen use efficiency in agriculture, again it was less than 10%, but now at present we are having 35% nitrogen use efficiency, and now we have nano urea, nano phosphorus, we are talking about drones, we are talking about novel nozzles. So like that, we are required to increase the nitrogen use efficiency more than 52% or even more than 55% in the country in year to come by 2050. Agriculture export, during the time of independence, it was nil. There was no agriculture export. We were net importer. बाहर से खाना मंगा के लोगों को खिलाना पड़ता था. 34 करोड़ जनसंख्या थी और आज 142 करोड़ जनसंख्या के साथ हम सरप्लस है. हमारा एग्रीकल्चर का एक्सपोर्ट 4 लाख करोड़ से ज़्यादा का है अलग अलग सेक्टर से. सो इसलिए प्रेजेंटली हम 2.5% वर्ल्ड के एग्रीकल्चर एक्सपोर्ट में शेयर करते हैं. लेकिन ये मैं तो मानता हूँ ठीक है, लेकिन लोग कहते हैं कम है. सो भविष्य में हमें इसको भी पूरा आगे ले जाना पड़ेगा. एंड बाय 2050 we are required to increase this contribution through agriculture in export, Indian export, up to 6%. Then this will be a big breakthrough. अगर ये 6% हो गया तो हमारा एग्रीकल्चर का एक्सपोर्ट, अगर अभी 6% होता तो एग्रीकल्चर का एक्सपोर्ट 15 लाख करोड़ से ज़्यादा का होता है एनुअली. So this is a big challenge, but let's see. Then indicators we are required to watch. I have already mentioned food inflation, economic situation, then social hunger rate that we are facing across the country, degradation of environment. We are seeing this situation in Punjab, Haryana, and in NCR region during winter months. We know this situation, AQI. Every day there is a lot of people are crying that AQI has gone more than 400 or more than 500. It is very difficult to live in NCR region. So this we have to see. And also because of unseasonal heavy rains, there is a lot of degradation of land in Uttarakhand or Himachal Pradesh or other states of the country is going on. We are required to reduce it or minimize it. Then failing societies. अगर कोई गलत हुआ तो we have seen this situation in Sri Lanka. What happened in Sri Lanka? लोग रोड्स पे आ गए, पेट्रोल पंप पे कब्जा कर लिया, राष्ट्रपति भवन पे कब्जा कर लिया. So that situation, we are a big democracy and we are having huge population. हमें पता है कि हमारे देश में ऐसी संभावना नहीं है. हम बहुत सहनशील लोग हैं इंडिया में, लेकिन फिर भी हमें वाच तो करना ही पड़ेगा कि अगर कोई सोसाइटी फेल होती है तो किस एक्सट्रीम तक जा सकती है. सो दीज आर द इंडिकेटर्स. देन व्हाट कुड बी द विजन बाय 2050 food availability, but affordability is the major challenge. Then accessibility, अब गोडाउन्स में पड़ा तो है, पर गरीब को मिल पा रहा, कितना मिल पा रहा, कितना नहीं मिल पा रहा. एंड देन वी आर रिक्वायर्ड टू सस्टेन इट. अगर हम एग्रीकल्चर में ग्रोथ करते हैं तो सस्टेनेबिलिटी इज द मेजर इशू. देन कैसे इस चैलेंज को हम एड्रेस करेंगे, कौन कौन से एरियाज है? बाय इंक्रीजिंग प्रोडक्टिविटी. अकेली प्रोडक्टिविटी भी हेल्प नहीं कर सकती. वी आर रिड्यूसिंग द कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन एंड कल्टीवेशन. और अब हम लोग बहुत सीरियसली इस इशू पर काम कर रहे हैं. हाउ टू कर्टेल द कॉस्ट ऑफ कल्टीवेशन फॉर द फार्मिंग कम्युनिटी. उसको कैसे घटाएं, उत्पादन लागत को, ये एक बड़ा चैलेंज है. एंड देन थ्रू एनहांसिंग क्वालिटी एंड न्यूट्रिटिव वैल्यू, and that we are working very largely, very seriously on biodegradation in agriculture, not limited to cereals or pulses. Now we are working on horticulture also, in vegetables, in fruit crops, very seriously. And then by increasing efficiency, either water use efficiency, nitrogen use efficiency, that we have to fulfill. Then through improving marketing system and export system, we have to work very seriously on this aspect also, and by reducing pre and post harvest losses, because we do have pre harvest losses and also same time we have big post harvest losses in agriculture and horticulture, that is more, so that we are required to reduce. Then by reducing risk and uncertainty and drudgery in agriculture, so through mechanization and through different means, we are required to reduce or minimize these all risk and uncertainty and drudgery in agriculture. Then through mitigation of pollution and CGA, greenhouse gases emission, India is already participating in a big way in the global level, but the countries which are really responsible for this purpose, they are not coming forward. But India is doing very strongly to minimize the emissions of greenhouse gases in the world. But then next is by adapting to changing climatic conditions, we are required to develop the technology or the varieties. And at this campus, now we are very seriously working on wheat varieties which are having the terminal heat tolerance along with the duration and other things. So we are now working on climate resilient varieties, not only in cereals, but in pulses and also in the millets or in vegetables also. Then enhancing the income of farmers. This is a very big challenge. How to enhance the income of farmer? If we want to maintain farmers in agriculture, otherwise these things which happened in US or happening in European nations, same thing is likely to happen in India. कोई खेती नहीं करना चाहेगा, इसलिए हमारी मजबूरी है कि हमें फार्मर्स की इनकम तो बढ़ानी ही पड़ेगी. Then only the country can sustain. Then by minimizing a pressure on natural resources or judicious use of natural resources is very much required in the country. Then through value addition and food export. अभी वर्तमान में हमारा वैल्यू एडिशन 5% से नीचे है. अगर हम हॉर्टिकल्चर में वैल्यू एडिशन कर दें, फॉर एग्जांपल लेट मी कोट वन एग्जांपल ऑफ क्यूमिन. अभी हम 2.5 लाख मैट्रिक टन जीरा बाहर भेज रहे, रॉ जीरा. क्या वैल्यू है? 400 रुपए किलो. अगर उसी का हम एसेंशियल ऑयल निकालने वैल्यू ऐड कर दें तो एसेंशियल ऑयल की वैल्यू है 6,000-7,000 रुपए लीटर. सो वी कैन एक्सट्रैक्ट ऑलियोरेजिन्स, एसेंशियल ऑयल्स, एवरीथिंग कैन बी डन इन एग्रीकल्चर. सो नाउ द टाइम हैज कम कि जैसे अभी मैंने एग्जांपल कोट किया, बालोतरा इन बाड़मेर हैज बिकम द बाउल फॉर पोमग्रेनेट कल्टीवेशन. लेकिन किसान को वहां एक 500 ग्राम के एक भगवा अनार का 30 रुपए किलो भाव नहीं मिलता, और जो दिल्ली और गुड़गांव में जाकर 200 रुपए किलो बिकता है. सो दिस इज ए चैलेंज. वी डू नॉट हैव एन इंडस्ट्री फॉर पोमग्रेनेट प्रोसेसिंग एंड वैल्यू एडिशन. सो इन फ्यूचर वी आर रिक्वायर्ड टू हैव ए बिग सेटअप ऑफ पोस्ट हार्वेस्ट processing and value addition, and then really we can make a dent in export front. जो हमारा एक्सपोर्ट का अभी 4 लाख करोड़ का है, अगर हमारा प्रोसेसिंग 15% पहुंच जाए तो रियली आवर एक्सपोर्ट कैन बी मोर देन 20 लाख करोड़ एनुअली. बहुत चांसेज हैं उसके. देन विद रिवाइवल ऑफ स्ट्रॉन्ग TOT सिस्टम, जिसके लिए ये इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस आज हम कर रहे हैं, 3 दिन तक करेंगे. हमारा सिस्टम एक्सटेंशन का आज इस टाइम पे क्रॉस रोड्स पे है. हमें इसको रिवाइव करना ही पड़ेगा. जो पास्ट में था अच्छा स्ट्रॉन्ग सिस्टम था, तो आप लोगों को, जो एक्सटेंशन के लोग हैं, उन लोगों को सीरियसली सोचना पड़ेगा इस एस्पेक्ट पर। देन अलग अलग कौन से सेगमेंट कितना ताकत रखते हैं इस टारगेट को अचीव करने की, तो क्रॉप इंप्रूवमेंट, वेराइटीज, दे कैन कंट्रीब्यूट 20 to 25%। प्रिसीजन प्रोडक्शन टेक्नोलॉजीज 15 से 20% हेल्प कर सकती हैं। प्रोटेक्टेड कल्टीवेशन इन हॉर्टिकल्चर कैन कंट्रीब्यूट बिगेस्ट 25 से 30% कर सकता है। एंड लेट मी कोट वन एग्जाम्पल, बिकॉज यू आर फ्रॉम आउटसाइड, लॉट ऑफ पार्टिसिपेंट्स आर हियर फ्रॉम डिफरेंट स्टेट्स। यू सी आवर कंडीशन इन जॉबनेर, राजस्थान। जॉबनेर की कंडीशन इतनी हार्श है, बिल्कुल प्योर सैंड है, देयर इज नो ऑर्गेनिक मैटर, देयर इज नो ग्राउंड वाटर, और टेम्परेचर की जो एक्सट्रीम है, गर्मी में टेम्परेचर 48 डिग्री जाता है, और सर्दी में टेम्परेचर जॉबनेर में बस यहां से 50 किलोमीटर दूर पिछले साल -4, 4.5 रहा है 21 दिन तक कंटिन्यूअसली। सो दीज आर द एक्सट्रीमिटीज इन टेम्परेचर, और इतनी हार्श कंडीशन, ग्राउंड वाटर नहीं है, एक बूंद नहीं है, और इतना टेम्परेचर में रेंज है, और कोई ऑर्गेनिक मैटर नहीं है सॉइल में, वाटर होल्डिंग कैपेसिटी 0 है। और ऐसी सिचुएशन में प्रोटेक्टेड कल्टीवेशन का पूरे देश का एक सक्सेसफुल मॉडल जॉबनेर से 15 किलोमीटर दूर बस्सी झाझड़ा गांव है, जहां पे एक ही गांव में 1000 से ऊपर ग्रीन हाउसेज हैं, और किसी किसान के पास 8-10 एकड़ से कम ग्रीन हाउस नहीं है। और हमने उनको क्लब किया है 100% रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग के साथ और सोलर पावर के साथ, और वो सारे किसान आज सबसे देश का सक्सेसफुल मॉडल, अगर कोई प्रोटेक्टेड कल्टीवेशन का कोई मॉडल है तो वो ऐसी हार्श कंडीशन में बस्सी झाझड़ा गांव है जॉबनेर के पास। ऐसे मॉडल्स को रेप्लिकेट करने की जरूरत है, जगह जगह पर रेप्लिकेट करने की जरूरत है। तो प्रोटेक्टेड कल्टीवेशन यस रियली कैन मेक ए डेंट एंड इट कैन इंक्रीज द प्रोडक्शन बाय 25 to 30%। देन डायग्नोसिस एंड रोबस्ट सीड बेस्ड सिस्टम। अभी सीड की बात की, इस साल ऑनरेबल फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर ने एनुअल बजट में देश के में 2200 करोड़ रुपए का एलोकेशन किया है क्लीन प्लांट के नाम पे, जिसमें 1100 करोड़ रुपए एडीबी ने दिए, एशियन डेवलपमेंट बैंक ने गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को सपोर्ट किया है, और 1100 करोड़ रुपए गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने उसको दिया, हेल्प किया है। और इसका मकसद एक ही है, ये हम लोग लगातार बात करते थे दिल्ली में, किस देश में अगर आगे बढ़ना है तो हमारा सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज हॉर्टिकल्चर में है डिजीज फ्री, वायरस फ्री, हेल्दी प्लांटिंग मटेरियल। वो नहीं मिलता किसान को, और चौहान साहब बात कर रहे थे उस चीज की, और बहुत सारे लोग बात करते हैं। तो फॉर डेवलपमेंट ऑफ दिस स्कीम हैज बीन लॉन्च दिस ईयर, क्लीन प्लांट, कि लार्ज स्केल पे हाई क्वालिटी प्लांटिंग मटेरियल, चाहे वैरायटी हमारे देश में उपलब्ध हो या बाहर से मंगानी पड़े, उनका प्लांटिंग मटेरियल हम फार्मर्स तक पहुंचाएं लार्ज स्केल में। तो हॉर्टिकल्चर बहुत ताकत रखता है। अभी जो हॉर्टिकल्चर 351 मिलियन मीट्रिक टन है टोटल, और 2050 तक हमें 750 तक पहुंचाना है, तो रियली 750 से ऊपर जा सकता है अगर हमने एक रिक्वायरमेंट ये पूरी कर दी थ्रू क्लीन प्लांट। तो ये भी एक चैलेंज है। सो नाउ वी आर वर्किंग वेरी स्ट्रांगली on the planting material in horticulture. Then post harvest technologies can contribute around 25 to 30%. मैंने बता ही दिया, प्रोसेसिंग बहुत हेल्प कर सकती है। एंड देन इंडिजिनस क्रॉप बेस्ड डाइवर्सिफिकेशन 4 से 5% कर सकता है। अब ये पवार साहब बात करेंगे उसकी IFS की, उसकी नेचुरल फार्मिंग की, तो वो 4 से 5% ही हेल्प कर सकता मेरी ओपिनियन में, इससे ज़्यादा हेल्प नहीं कर सकता, इतना हेल्प काफ़ी है। बट क्लस्टर अप्रोच में हम जरूर उसको ले सकते हैं। सो ये कुछ चीज़ें हैं। और एग्रीकल्चर एजुकेशन की अगर बात करें तो निश्चित तौर पे उसमें भी हम बहुत स्ट्रांग हुए हैं। आज़ादी के टाइम पे देश में कुल मात्र आप देखिए 7-8 संस्थाएं थी टोटल, सॉरी ये आप देख रही हैं, आपको जॉबनेर, कानपुर, साबौर, कोयम्बटूर, पुणे, नागपुर एंड लायलपुर विच इज नाउ इन पाकिस्तान, फैसलाबाद एग्रीकल्चर यूनिवर्सिटी फैसलाबाद। और आज हमारे देश में एक IRI, इंपीरियल एग्रीकल्चरल रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट, और आज हमारे देश में आप देखिए 65 स्टेट एग्रीकल्चर यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, 8 ICR की डीम्ड यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, 3 सेंट्रल एग्रीकल्चर यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, 14 दूसरी सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं जिनमें एग्रीकल्चर हॉर्टिकल्चर फैकल्टी है। कितने प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, कितने प्राइवेट कॉलेजेस हैं, उनकी आपको बताने की जरूरत नहीं है। अब राजस्थान स्टेट की बात करें, 5 एग्रीकल्चर यूनिवर्सिटी है, 2 वेटरनरी यूनिवर्सिटी है। जॉबनेर एक छोटा सा कस्बा है, एग्रीकल्चर यूनिवर्सिटी नहीं है। अब इस साल वेटरनरी यूनिवर्सिटी भी वहां पे एस्टेब्लिश हुई है, सेकंड राजूवास। सो आप सोचिए, दिस द ग्रोथ। एंड इन स्टेट ऑफ राजस्थान जो हमारे नंबर ऑफ कॉलेजेस एग्रीकल्चर में वो 60 से ऊपर हैं, जो हमारे पास एग्रीकल्चर यूनिवर्सिटीज के पास, हायर एजुकेशन के पास अलग है और प्राइवेट के पास अलग है। अकेली एग्रीकल्चर यूनिवर्सिटी जॉबनेर, एसकेएनयू जॉबनेर, हमारे 15 कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट कॉलेज हैं, 13 हायर एजुकेशन के पास है, 12 प्राइवेट है, 40 के ऑल टुगेदर एग्जाम हम कराते हैं। सो दिस ए बिग नेटवर्क हैज बीन डेवलप्ड इन एग्रीकल्चर एजुकेशन इन अक्रॉस द कंट्री एंड दिस इज मोर विगरस इन स्टेट ऑफ राजस्थान। ये देखिए आप कितने कॉलेजेस की जरूरत पड़ेगी, तो वो भी हमने NAIP के तहत गणना की है। तो फ्यूचर में और भी कॉलेजेस की, हॉर्टिकल्चर के कॉलेजेस की सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत पड़ेगी फ्यूचर में। सो फाइनली आई वुड लाइक टू कंक्लूड, एग्रीकल्चर इज द बैकबोन, इट हैज बीन द बैकबोन एंड इट विल बी बैकबोन। हमारा गुजारा बगैर एग्रीकल्चर के नहीं हो सकता, छोटे देशों का हो सकता है, क्योंकि हमारा सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज है पॉपुलेशन, इसलिए इसको तो करना ही पड़ेगा। सो ये मैं कुछ चीज़ें रखना चाह रहा था आप लोगों के सामने। थैंक यू वेरी मच। और ये मैं कुछ पिक्चर आपको दिखाना चाह रहा था, ये बाड़मेर की पिक्चर है, ईसबगोल, यू कैन सी वी आर इन बिग इन एक्सपोर्ट एंड दिस इज द क्यूमिन क्रॉप वेयर राजस्थान इज लीडर।